What's going on, everyone? Steven here with Self-Driven Income, and on this channel we give you the tools, tips, and tricks to help you start, structure, and maintain healthy and profitable businesses. In this video series, I'm focusing on ride sharing and how you can use these gig economy apps like rideshare to maximize your time and earn extra money. Today we're going to be focusing on streaks. Streaks are a bonus structure within the Lyft platform. Essentially, the way streaks work is Lyft will give you a time period throughout the day where if you can do consecutive rides within that time period, they'll pay you an additional bonus on top of your earnings. I'm going to talk to you guys today about how I managed to make over $200 in a little less than 4 hours driving for Lyft. Now, these earnings are not typical because I was able to capitalize on streaks, and basically I managed to get about $120 worth of bonuses in one day. I'll say a little less than 4 hours. Realistically, I think it clocked in at around 3 hours and 38 minutes, but $200 in less than 4 hours with an application that you just click a button and say, I'm ready to earn, is pretty good. If you are not a Lyft driver and you're thinking about signing up, I did create a video basically illustrating everything that you need to know to sign up for Lyft. I'll leave a link to that video in the description. You can check it out. If you do decide to sign up based on the information that I give you, please, if you don't mind, use my referral code. It helps me and helps me continue to create these videos and this type of content. So what we're going to talk about is I'm going to just paint for you the picture of my day. It was Super Bowl Sunday, so that's why those bonuses were there. When it comes to streaks, they normally happen during holidays and just peak hours. You will see streaks randomly throughout the year on just general days, but in order to get big bonus streaks, it likely has to be like a holiday or some special event kind of day. Now, the streaks that I went after on Super Bowl Sunday were two. One shortly before the game started, and then one shortly after the game ended. The first streak was for $20 for 2 rides, and that was between 5 p.m. and 6 p.m. The second streak was for $30 for 3 rides, and that was between 10 p.m. and 11:30 p.m. Now, when you are going after these streaks, the important thing to think about is, one, where are the people likely headed from this area in which you'll be picking up rides? When you only have an hour window, you want to be able to complete as many rides as possible within that hour. And if you start in a bad area, you're pretty much killing yourself for that hour. So my goal with the streak was to go to an area where I would likely pick up someone who was only going to be going into more concentrated areas of the city, or someone who was likely only going a short distance. Now, I managed to get 3 streaks in the first hour, which meant that I at least started my 5th ride before the hour expired. The cool thing about a streak is you just have to accept your ride within that time period, even if you don't complete all of the rides within that time period. As long as you accept a ride. So to give you an example, if the streak is between 5 and 6, if you accept a ride at 5:59, that's within that hour time period, it will start the streak. And even if that ride takes you 45 minutes to complete and your next ride takes you another hour to complete, because you started your streak within that hour, you're going to get that bonus. So I was able to do 6 rides in about an hour and a half. But because my second ride turned out to be a 4-person shared ride, which was just very, very lucky for me. Honestly, once I got that second ride, I was thinking, oh, okay, it's a shared ride. If anything, I'll at least get 2 streaks. But once they added the 3rd and 4th person, I knew I was golden and I was going to get the 3rd streak, netting me about $80 for my first 2 rides. But if you consider a shared ride one ride, then my first 2 rides, I made about $80. Now, for the 10 o'clock hour, it was a little bit harder to predict just because around that hour of night, it's really difficult to kind of plan where you're going to be, because when you're picking up people on a Sunday night, even if it was Super Bowl Sunday at 10 o'clock, chances are they're headed home. Home for them could be anywhere, and it doesn't really matter where you're starting your ride. Home could be, half an hour away. Home could be 10 minutes away. So after I completed my first 3 rides, I was lucky to get a shared ride for my second ride. So after I completed my first 3 rides and I got through with my first streak, I had about half an hour left within the time frame to start my second streak. Now, at the end of my first streak within that time frame, I was a little bit outside of the city, in an area of Maryland that I'm very familiar with. And there was actually a personal power zone, a bonus in that area, near FedEx Field, which is a football stadium. Now, I knew that if I pick up someone from FedEx Field in that area of Maryland, they could be going anywhere. They could be going deeper into Maryland, like in the Upper Marlboro or Bowie, or they could be going all the way to like Baltimore. They could have been going to Virginia, who knows? But it was likely not going to be a short ride, and it was likely going to be somewhere to a residential area. Not too many people who would go to FedEx Field are going to go back to DC, go back to the city. And late at night on a Sunday, I wanted to make sure that wherever I did my next ride to start my streak, I would likely end up in a well-populated area to finish my streak out. I didn't want to have to drop someone off and then drive for 45 minutes while online fishing for another ride. Because with a streak, if you go offline, that breaks your streak. So I drove back to the city, to an area called Navy Yard. For those of you who are familiar with DC, managed to get a ride that was going to Upper Northwest, Upper Northeast. And honestly, after I dropped that person off, I still had to drive around while online for about 17 minutes before I got my next ride. Luckily, again, I was in the city, so I could go to areas that I knew regularly are highly concentrated. But I went to 3 different areas of town that are crowd drawers, where people normally would congregate, especially on a night like the Super Bowl. And I still didn't get a ride. So after going to the 3rd area, I decided to just sit and wait. And eventually I did get my second ride, which took me into Virginia. And after dropping that person off, I immediately got my 3rd ride, finishing me out at $201 in 3 hours and 38 minutes. So that's how I was able to make over $200 in less than 4 hours. Taking advantage of the streaks, being very mindful of when and where I decided to drive within that time frame. And they'll do these high value streaks periodically throughout the year. A lot of big holidays, you'll see these bonus opportunities pop up, and you just have to be mindful to make the most of your time. If you like this information, if you thought this video was helpful, please hit that like button down below. Share it to anyone else you think might find value in this information. And yeah, take advantage of these gig economy jobs, because it is not something that you have to commit your entire life to. You can, sign up and only drive one day out of the week, one day out of a month, one day out of the year. But if you need to make some extra money, you need to make it quickly, these rideshare apps, these on-demand delivery service apps, they're very reliable. People use these services. You probably use it yourself. And it's a surefire way that if you want to be in control of your income, you want to be your own boss, at least in some aspect of your life, you can go out and you can try to start your own business. You can try to, sell t-shirts on Instagram and like sell like, your own products that you build and hope that someone buys it. But if you really want to get into making money immediately in something that is yours, that you're getting paid for, in providing a service, this is something that has such a low barrier of entry that I encourage everyone to at least sign up, even if you're only doing rides on your commute to work and home. It's an easy way to start making some extra money. So anyway, guys, this has been Steven with Self-Driven Income. I hope you found this information valuable. Till next time, yeah.